What's going on YouTube? So it's hard to describe a Porsche 911 in just one sentence, so I'm gonna let the iconic side profile do all the talking.
Today we have the pleasure of being with this 2023 Porsche 911 GTS, and we're gonna do a deep dive into all the details.
So without further ado, let's go ahead and have some fun.
Wait, Drew, wait up!
All right, so let's start things off here with as close as we're going to get to the engine in the back. So what do we have? This is a 3-liter twin turbocharged flat 6 engine, making 473 horsepower, 420 pound-feet of torque.
It's going to be mated to an 8-speed PDK dual clutch transmission. You do also have the option of a 7-speed manual for the GTS model. As far as the drivetrain, it's going to be rear drive as standard, what we have today. You do also have the option of all-wheel drive if you prefer that. As far as the fuel economy, 19 miles a gallon combined for the tester that we have today. We also do have the optional 23.7 gallon fuel tank, which is very large, so that means you have a pretty good fuel range.
Now, of course, what you're anxiously awaiting is when we take this out on the road a little later in the video. But, of course, we also have a beautiful exterior, so let's start with that. Now, like I just said, we have a beautiful exterior design. This is just your classic 911 shape. There's really nothing more I can add to that. It's just an iconic vehicle. There's a reason why this just kind of evolves year after year, because it is absolutely gorgeous. Now, part of the iconic look is of course going to be these round LED headlights. As you can see, unique design. You've got the projector in the middle and then the 4 beams on the outside edges. These are adaptive as well. And then separated down below, you have your turn signal indicator. Now, I do want to mention while I'm squatted down here, the fact that you do have an available lift for the front end. We do have it on today's example, and it will be able to raise this up about 1.5 inches, and of course is GPS linked if you're pulling into a driveway or something like that. Now, of course, the back also has that typical signature classic 911 look. It's just so sleek and wide and aggressive looking, especially here with this GTS model.
Yeah, it just blesses your eyes to look at it. I just want to sit here and look at it all day long. Now, probably the biggest element that you're going to notice about this 911's rear design is this right here. We went ahead and popped out the power deploying spoiler. This will automatically deploy at speeds over 56 miles per hour. You can also manually pop it open like what we've done now to show you guys what this looks like. I think it looks even better with the spoiler popped up, but it does have a real sleek look if you have it down. Now let's go ahead and take a second to look at our taillights for this 911. Now, of course, we have the signature 911 taillight design. It's going to actually be full length all the way across the back, and we're going to see if all the elements are LED. So we have an LED brake light portion, LED turn signal, and LED reverse light. As you would expect, this is a 911 after all. We have all the elements as LED. Additionally, I do want to point out that our taillights are going to be darkened for the GTS model. So that's going to be a really good way to identify if this is a GTS. Now, another way to identify if it's a GTS is, of course, the 911 Carrera branding. And then dropping down here to the lower area, we do have a fully blacked out lower diffuser. We have our integrated circle exhaust pipes going through here. And I do want to point out, you're not going to have any body color. On the Carrera models, you'll have some body color down here. That's going to be deleted for the GTS model. But we have the standard active exhaust system, so let's go ahead and listen to that. Wow, that sounds phenomenal. We also have a cold start video that I will go ahead and put in now.
Now, as far as wheels, you've got a few to choose from. And as far as the sizes, they're gonna be 20-inch alloy wheels in the front, 21 in the rear, and they are gonna be a lot wider in the rear as well to give you that extra grip, as you would expect. Now, as you can tell, we do have a gloss black finish here with this model, which I think really pops with the shark blue paint. I love this blue. I mean, it is absolutely stunning in person. Plus, the owner of this model, and by the way, thank you, Michael, for letting us check this out today, has chosen to have some yellow accents. The first place you'll see the yellow accents are gonna be here with our carbon ceramic brake rotors. Moving up here to our mirrors, fully loaded, of course, as you'd expect. So we do have power folding, blind spot monitoring, and auto dimming.
Now at the side of the 911, you're gonna see that iconic shape once again. That's of course afforded to you because you have that rear engine layout. So you have this beautiful silhouette. It's unmistakably a 911 here at the side. I do wanna point out you have GTS branding here on the side. That's gonna be one of the ways that you can tell this is a GTS model. We do also have the optional side skirt on this particular model that gives it a really good look. Now, I'm not going to waste too much time before we get out on that test drive because I know that's what you're probably waiting on. But I do want to mention that you have 2 active safety features as standard equipment. That's going to be forward emergency braking with pedestrian detection as well as your auto high beam headlights. You can, of course, option on adaptive cruise control and lane keeping assist. Even a night vision system is available on this 911. But guys, that wraps up the gorgeous exterior design of this 911. There is a beautiful cabin waiting for you inside. And if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
Now let's take a look at the interior. First, here's our key fob. As you can see, it's a little 911, and we actually even have it color matched to the exterior, which is really neat and special, matching with how special this vehicle is. As you walk up to it, it'll go ahead and sense that you're approaching, pop the door handle out, and all you have to do is just grab underneath and open her up. Now take a look inside of the cabin. Now I'll just go ahead and warn you straight from the start. Just like many of the things on the exterior, you have really full customizability. They'll do just about anything that your heart desires. So a lot of 911s are gonna kind of be one-off. So this specific model, as you can see, does have the adaptive sport bucket seats. What we have on board, of course, first and foremost, we have the matching yellow seat belts. We have yellow stitching, as well as yellow GTS branding. I love how the owner matched up everything throughout the exterior and interior. The seats are gonna be, like I said, the adaptive sport bucket. So you have 18 ways of power adjustment, very aggressive bolstering as well, but still very comfortable in everyday driving. And then the center section is going to be finished in a luxurious Alcantara. We do also have the optional illuminated scuff plates right through here. But let's go ahead and climb inside. Let's go ahead and look around at the rest of the cabin material. So Alcantara is going to be over here on our armrest. We do have leather across the center section, full leather covering across the top. All the upper dash is going to be fully leather covered with the yellow stitching as well. Down below, you're going to notice looks like a aluminum trim. We have Alcantara on all of our lower sections through here, and then more leather for our knee to rest against as we are driving. Of course, everything's going to be put together really well. This is a Porsche after all. Now, one of the unique elements of this is instead of that push button start being over there, we've got this twist button here to fire it up. Of course, the GTS is going to have the iconic Porsche-shaped gauges, but it does have a modern twist on it because you have basically 2 separate LCD displays over there on the sides. Those are going to contain all of these multifunction gauge clusters, so you can switch between different designs, different kinds of information, but you still have the classic analog right here in the middle, again customizable with whatever color you want. No head-up display though. Up top, you do have also a color match timer. And then coming back here to the steering wheel, beautiful design here, fully leather wrapped. We do have kind of these gaps between the buttons and stuff, which looks really cool. Real metal paddle shifters on board, which feel very satisfying to the touch. And then the wheel itself is manual, tilt, and telescoping. Heating is also available. Now quickly taking a look at interior storage. First off, you have a little console here, but it is enough to fit something small, maybe even a coupon if you choose to put that in your Porsche 911. I believe this is either a wireless phone charger or an optional spot where a wireless phone charger would be. I can't exactly tell. We do, though, have our one central mounted cup holder right there with the electronic parking brake located right behind it. And then, of course, right here in our center console, kind of floating, is going to be the shifter for our PDK. So this is an electronic toggle style, as you can tell. You're just going to press down on the brake and pull backwards for drive. Again, you do have those paddle shifters I was mentioning earlier available when you press the M for manual mode. And then press up until it clicks, and that's going to put you in reverse. We do have the available 360 camera on board. Looks really, really nice, just like with some other premium Audi products we've been in. As you turn the steering wheel, it does also bend the angle itself. And then just press the P for park. Now, as far as climate controls, dual zone automatic, no crazy menus or anything, just these really nice sounding toggles to adjust your temperature up and down. Of course, next to that, you also have the volume knob. We have the available Bose 12-speaker 570-watt premium sound system. There is also an 855-watt Burmester sound system if you want to hear anything other than the sonorous exhaust system. I do also want to mention before I forget, our heated seat controls are right there. And going back to the exhaust, this is the button here for the active exhaust system. So if I press that down, things are going to get a lot louder. We also have some more toggles for some of our more common features you might want to access, such as that front lift and our suspension settings. Now above, we have the display. The main display is going to be 10.9 inches. It's running Porsche's latest software, so you've got a home screen through here. You do also have wireless Apple CarPlay available to you and a built-in navigation system. When you click into the little car, that's where you can start to make all the adjustments that you might want to the vehicle. You can change things like your drive mode, although you can also do that on the steering wheel with this knob. You can make a custom drive mode with the center button. And then you can just change things like deploying the spoiler manually, even if you're underneath of that speed limit. Up top, we've got an auto dimming mirror. And at the roof, you have the availability to get either glass or you can just keep it fully body color. This owner has chosen to keep it fully body color, and they have also added the premium Alcantara headliner, which feels very nice.
Now, the rear seat area is certainly not going to be the focus of a Porsche 911, but we do have rear seats. You can actually option to delete them, but we've actually opted to keep them on this particular model, so I'm going to show you what you get. Now, in order to get back here, there's a little leather strap. You just grab that. That's going to fold the seat back forward, and then you can kind of power slide the seat out of the way. Now, as far as actual like legroom figures or anything like that, we don't have any of those figures. Porsche doesn't even measure the amount of space back here, but let me go ahead and see if I can fit. See if you can fit 4 adults in the Porsche 911. Well, honestly, with the seat slid to this level, which certainly it would be a short person driving, it's not too bad legroom wise. Now the headroom is where you start to see some issues for someone who's 5'9" like I am, but the owner did actually mention that his kids have ridden back here and actually fell asleep, so it must not be too bad of a place. Typically we do our 3rd row scale. I'm going to do the rear seat of the Porsche scale. I'd say this is for kids only, not even just bad kids. I think you're rewarding them enough by being in a 911. Now, I do also want to mention when it comes to cargo that this Porsche 911 has some capability and practicality to it. Of course, this is a vehicle that a lot of people daily drive, and Porsche says there's about 9 cubic feet of space right in this area. It's behind the rear seats. I'd say a lot of people would also use the rear seats as additional storage because most of the time you'd probably just be using it with 2 people inside. And 9 cubic feet is not a bad amount of space. Now, additionally, I can push this button right here, and that's going to go ahead and open up my frunk. Now, of course, with a rear engine vehicle, you're going to have a frunk. So long before any EVs came up with a frunk, the Porsche 911 had one. And this is going to be an additional about 4 cubic feet of space inside of here. Now, as you can see, it's not too wide, but it is very deep, so I can fit my entire arm in here for reference. It's definitely enough that you can put 2 or 3 weekend bags in this front area. So honestly, I don't see that you're going to have very many problems storing things in the 911 because, of course, with a coupe, you don't expect a lot of space, and this is going to have a pretty good amount for a sports car.
Well, guys, we are incredibly excited to be behind the wheel of this Porsche 911 GTS. Once again, special thanks to Michael, who's entrusted us with his 911. Only has 1,300 miles on it, and we're going to be able to put some more miles on it and show you guys what that's all about. So certainly excited about that, but we'll start out with a hard acceleration, and then we're also going to be talking about a lot of different other things in this test drive, as well as get some really good driving dynamics and all that in this video. So stay tuned for that. Oh, damn! Oh my gosh! Oh,
wow. So I didn't really
sweet mother of pearl.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, that just kind of leaves you speechless.
Oh, damn! Oh my gosh! Oh.
So, what did we just do? Well, that was launch control.
Holy. That's just regular. Holy. Whew.
So Mason, you want to remind everybody of the specs and why that all comes together like that?
Let me catch my breath. All right, cool. So what's under the hood? Well, I guess the rear of the vehicle for this Porsche 911, we have a 3-liter twin-turbo flat 6. This is going to be making 473 horsepower, 420 pound-feet of torque. And when you hear those power numbers, you're probably like, okay, you know, there's modern SUVs and stuff that get close to 400 horsepower, but it's definitely not the whole story. This is a rear-engine vehicle. It's a Porsche 911. It's lightweight, and this thing goes to 60 miles an hour in 3.1 seconds. Really incredible 0 to 60. I mean, you saw that launch. It is.
I think we just achieved that.
Absurd. And I do want to point out for the 0 to 60, Car and Driver actually tested that. The 3.1 seconds is the figure from Porsche. Car and Driver tested this model out, the GTS, and it did 2.8 seconds to 60. The turbo models do low 2 seconds, like 2.1 seconds, but I mean, outrageous 0 to 60 if you go for a GTS or above, that's for sure.
Yes. You witnessed it. I mean, this is our pure, unadulterated first impressions, because that was the first time we launched it, and it just left us speechless there.
Yeah. Also, just the sound. Stop. I mean, it's so good. Oh my gosh.
This thing is so fast.
Wow.
You definitely would have to allocate some funds, I think, to the speeding tickets that you will almost certainly be getting.
Especially if you go for the shark blue exterior color, my goodness. It catches the attention of everybody.
Yeah, it's going to stand out, that's for sure.
Oh, and I love that when you slow down, it just so much theatrics going on with this 911.
Now, part of the performance, of course, beyond just the engine, is the transmission. So Porsche's legendary PDK is on board here. This is an 8-speed PDK, and obviously it's absolutely fantastic. It just blasts off shifts like no tomorrow. I mean, nothing in the industry is really as fast as the PDK. It is really the benchmark, and it is phenomenal. Now, you can go for a purist 7-speed manual, but you'll never, ever in your wildest dreams be able to shift this quickly yourself. So
it's not humanly possible.
It's not going to happen. So you can't be blamed for going for the PDK, that's for sure. This is going to be everyday livable and the best performance.
Yeah, and you know, while we're kind of cruising down the highway here, I do want to hit like our ride quality for this vehicle. Now, of course, that's not the focus of a 911, but a lot of people do live with these vehicles on the daily. So I do want to talk in terms of the ride. And the ride, honestly, is pretty good. We just came off of like a really, really rough area. We're up Cincinnati, and a lot of the roads are kind of beat to pieces, but overall, the ride quality is pretty good. I mean, obviously, you can feel some intrusion inside the cabin. The seats do a good job of absorbing it. We have kind of like the less intense seats. They're actually power adjusting. You can get more intense seats if you prefer that sportier driving dynamic, but I do really think this is a pretty comfortable vehicle, and certainly you could live with this on the daily.
And this does have adaptive dampers, by the way, so of course when you're making those adjustments in the drive mode, like we were in Sport Plus for the launches and the accelerations, we've dropped down to Sport. I can also go into normal. That's going to adjust the suspension. It's also going to make adjustments to many of the other elements, like the steering, and of course the exhaust as well. So the exhaust, we mentioned earlier, we have the active exhaust. So you have different levels and modes. It really makes a huge difference. This can be anything from very subdued, if you're trying to, like, you know, start up and drive away from your neighborhood on a Sunday morning, to really, really loud.
Pretty obnoxiously loud, yeah.
This even actually has an auto start stop system when you're in normal mode.
And it's actually really smooth.
It's smooth, yeah.
Now, I don't know how many of you 911 owners are trying to save gas, but...
Oh, it's so responsive to these paddles. Ooh. Now we're, like Mason said, kind of in an unfamiliar area, but I think we found a little spot of some twisties to kind of talk a little bit about driving dynamics.
Oh, wow, the noise.
Now, the 911 is known for just its iconic driving abilities, and each generation it just gets more and more capable. And I have to say, you know, we've been in a lot of vehicles, just a ton of vehicles, and I can't really think of anything that feels quite as planted as this 911 does. When you're talking body roll, it doesn't have it.
No.
I mean, it just doesn't exist. Like, and the steering, instantaneous, amazing response. You point it, you shoot it, and it goes. There's just nothing else to it. It really is pure in that way. Now, obviously, we're not going to be pushing this even in the realm of its limits. You need a racetrack and professional drivers to do that, and we're, you know, here in an urban setting, but you can get those impressions and really understand that this is a machine that you can enjoy even when you're going slow like we are. Any type of corner, slow or fast, you're going to enjoy it. Let's just put it that way.
And that today has just got to be the slam dunk. I was tempted to do the engine. It's trying to convince me at the last second. I love the sound. Oh my gosh, it is so powerful. But I'd say the driving dynamics are really just where this car shines. It's iconic, and it's iconic for a reason. Now, when it comes to the airball, for vehicles like this, there's really not an airball. It just, I guess, could be the price. It is very expensive, and I would say that some of these Porsche 911s are very hard to get your hands on. You know, if you go to the dealership and you might have a year or two wait to get a specific 911 if you want a specific combination and stuff. So if I were to airball anything, I think it'd have to be the availability and the price of this 911.
All right, so we switched driver seats, of course. You have to share our time behind the wheel of such a special automobile.
Yeah. But why don't we just go ahead and talk about some of those like practical elements with the 911, fuel economy, those types of things, because like I mentioned, you know, I'm kind of like the practical person. I normally talk about the ride quality, those different things. And with this 911, I feel like a lot of people use these on the daily. This is not a sports car that people will buy and just leave parked like a Ferrari. They're going to use these vehicles. So let's talk about the fuel economy, see how good it is, or rather how much it's going to cost you at the pump.
It's not too bad, really. Rear-wheel drive, which is the one we have today, with the PDK is going to be 17 city, 23 highway, and 19 combined. Of course, premium fuel. Not a lot of variance between the manual and the all-wheel drive combinations that you can make. 4 different combos. Just goes between 20 and 19. And you can get a large fuel tank option, which I can't remember if Mason mentioned that already earlier in the video, but since we have the extended fuel tank, this actually has really long fuel range.
And we haven't mentioned it up until this point, but we do have the rear steering, which is optional on this model, which certainly helps your driving dynamics. It helps give you that tighter turning radius. And really with this 911, you already had phenomenal driving characteristics, and the rear steering is just going to help you achieve even more of that.
Absolutely. I do also want to mention the warranty. This is the time of the video where we like to mention that 4-year 50,000 mile for basic and powertrain, and then you do have your first maintenance visit covered complimentary.
All right, quick John up to 55 miles an hour so we can get our sound level reading.
Normal mode, please.
Normal mode.
Alrighty, 59.4 is what we got there. Again, we're in a kind of unfamiliar place, and the road is
very rough.
Very rough.
Yeah, Cincinnati.
But what difference does it really make? What we want to hear the engine, and that is what we shall hear.
Yeah, exactly.
Now let's talk price. You saw how amazing this thing was out on the road. You've seen how beautiful it is on the outside. You know that this 911 is going to cost a pretty good amount. So for the base Carrera models, you're looking at a little bit over $100,000, but I think this GTS represents a very good sweet spot within the 911 lineup. It has a lot of the performance from the turbo models, but without the excessive price tag. So we're going to be starting at about $150,000 for a GTS model currently. Now this particular model was ordered a while back, so it has a little bit of a cheaper price tag. We started at $142,000 for this tester. Once we added in about $40,000 worth of options. Like we said throughout this review, there's options for everything. Paint colors, leather interiors, all of those things are optional. It's a highly customizable vehicle. We are looking at a grand total for this particular model when we add the 1450 destination in at $181,520. So of course, not a cheap vehicle by any stretch of the imagination, but this vehicle is absolutely iconic. It is one of the best vehicles money can buy, period. And guys, that's where we're going to leave off on this in-depth review of the 2023 Porsche 911 GTS. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you help connect us to people like Michael that was able to loan his vehicle out for us to see on this channel. So once again, special thanks and shout out to Michael because he really has helped us out. He gave us his Rivian as well as this Porsche 911 to do videos on for you all to see. So thank him down below because he really has helped us out. Also, if you haven't had the chance to check out our TikTok and Instagram pages, please go ahead and do that. Also, check out our all-new website, carconfections.com. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.